Today we're going to be talking about the medical school application timeline. So we're going to go through an outline of dates, maybe to keep in mind, and things that you should know about your fall 2027 application to medical school. We have a few services that we're going to talk about. AMCAS is highlighted in blue, ACOMAS is highlighted in purple, and then TMD-SAS, which is the Texas Medical Application School site, is below, but it's not highlighted. A note to remember is that the ACOMAS application usually opens before the AMCAS application does. And we're going to go through some dates. So let's start with the AMCAS service, which is the MD Medical Doctor Application Service. It's set to open on May 1st of 2026 for the fall of 2027 application cycle. There is then the submission open date listed as May 27th of 2026. This essentially means that your application is going to open on May 1st, which means you'll be able to start inputting information, whether that may be your letters of recommendation, your personal statement, or experience descriptions, your transcripts, and things like that. But you will not be able to hit submit on your application until the submission open date of the 27th of May. This gives you a little bit of a buffer window to get everything inputted correctly, to make sure all your details are correct, all your courses are listed correctly, you have all your transcripts in, because if you do not do this stuff properly, you'll get flagged, and then it'll be a larger delay before these applications get to the schools that you're requesting them to. The URL below is going to take you to the AMCAS website. It's going to give you a little bit more information on the 2027 application cycle in terms of AMCAS. And all these URLs and this page will be downloaded as a PDF and uploaded to the Institute for Health Studies webpage so you can look at it and access those URLs. Next is the ACOMAS application open date, which is listed as TBD. There is not a specific date listed right now, but usually it's in early May. And then the submission open date, also TBD, but that's around mid-May or early June. So your application open date will, of course, come before the submission open date. But in general, the ACOMAS application opens before the AMCAS application. And ACOMAS is for the DO, Doctor of Osteopathy, medical application. Now, for both of these services, there are going to be differences in dates, and then one of those things is for your transcripts and letters of recommendation. In order to do this, you are going to have to request official transcripts from any institution that you've been at. So if you took summer courses, you'll have to request it from those. If you transferred schools, you'll have to request from both schools. And then also your letters of recommendation, those are going to be sent as request through the application service. And then your letter writers are going to upload those letters and follow the directions on each service individually. So you will not be uploading those, you will just be uploading the request. And this usually happens between the application opening and submission opening dates. So that's a really important time frame to get things in and to make sure you're staying on top of your work. The last application services listed is the TMD-SAS, which is the Texas Medical Application Service. That is set to open on May 1st of 2026, and then the submission open is to be determined probably around mid-May, like the ACOMAS and the AMCAS one. So applications are generally going to arrive at your designated schools in late June of 2026. It's going to take a while for your applications to be looked over and then verified, and then even after they're verified, it's going to take a while for them to be sent over. So a lot of these dates are listed on the AMCAS or ACOMAS or TMD-SAS websites. But the most important thing is to make sure you are marking down the open date so you can get everything in and have everything done by then, and then the submission open date so you can submit as soon as possible with everything being completely filled out. So in my personal experience, the first secondary that I received was in mid-June. That was for a DO school, so an ACOMAS application. And then interviews, I'm still having interviews right now, and they're projected to go even into late May. So that would be late May of the next year. So prepare yourself for a longer application process throughout the whole thing. I will note that I have been accepted to medical school already, but it just depends on where you are in the cycle, how early you get your applications turned in, and then when you schedule interviews, if you'll be still doing interviews or parts of your application into late May. Okay, so this is a little diagram of an admissions timeline. This is very general, um, big spans of dates, but it kind of keeps or gives you a time frame of what you should be looking at. So this is something to note, maybe print it out and put it on your wall if you're applying to medical school. We're going to go through some further notes. Like I said before, there are differences between all of these application services. If you're applying to more than one, it is very important that you take note of those dates that are not the same. You don't want to make a stupid mistake or a silly mistake of noting the wrong date on something. So just make sure you're checking those early and often. As I said before, you're going to request official transcripts from all of your institutions before the application services even open. And that way you have them and can update them and upload them as soon as possible. Also, something to do earlier than later is seek out who you want letters of recommendation from. This is usually noted on the school websites. MD schools and DO schools may want letters from different people, and some schools may say they only want letters from physicians, others may say they only want letters from teachers, some have a number that they want you to have, some don't want any, so this is unique to every single school that you're applying to, so that's something that you need to check out. Also, the different requirements other than the letters of recommendation, there might be different prereqs for some schools that you're applying to that aren't on the general prereq list for medical school. So that's something that you might want to look at as well. Detail on the MCAT, we'll have a separate video on this, but something important to note is that the AAMC recommends that you take it between January and April of the calendar year that you intend to apply to medical school for. So I'm going to talk about this in more details, like I said, but I'll kind of talk about my timeline for the MCAT and what I recommend as well. And then we'll also have some more videos on standardized tests aside from the MCAT that are coming into play with medical school applications. But overall, this is what the general timeline for medical school should look like.